Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I may not be Kofi Kingston, for whom we all love and appreciate and adore this evening, but, you know, maybe you can find it in your heart somewhere to give allow a little bit of your heart to be adored, to adore, or like, or at the very least, endure me this evening, Mr. Warren Hayes. It's good. It's good to be here on this edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, where we recap SmackDown Live, the February 12 edition, the night that Kofi Kingston took over the world. That is how it will be remembered forever and ever and ever. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, aren't I? I am already like setting everything up, but man, it's going to be hard not to talk about everything happening with Kofi. It's going to be hard, but you know, it's going to be hard to focus and think about other stuff, but we have to. I have to, folks. That's my job. Talk about wrestling stuff and make you think about wrestling stuff. That's what I do. Ooh. Check that out, man. That's right here. There, you see that? For those of you watching on YouTube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, right there. That's the bicep of a man who does not work out. That's right, because we're doing this live. YouTube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. And wow. Folks, again here this evening, I am stunned every time that I start up a stream and people actually do decide to come over here and chat about stuff and just be cool with each other while I'm doing this. I mean, it's nice. It's nice. You got Robert Larae right here, who just joined us. Blaine and Kristen Ashley, regulars. JPQ, who admittedly came in and said, you know, I might be short, you know, I might not be around much this evening. Apparently there's a game of the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, to each his own, you know. I'm not going to judge people for doing other things on nights where I'm streaming, John. That's all right. Got Jason here as well. Folks, it is going to be a fun evening. Now, maybe you're watching this later on YouTube, which is fantastic, but know this. Every about a half hour, like at 11:30 p.m. For Raw, 10:30 p.m. for SmackDown, Eastern Seaboard hourly times. I do this live, so people come in, chat, you have a good time. It is a good time. And then, and then this is sent out into the world. But then after that, the audio is also available on your favorite, adored podcasting platform. I know your favorites, and I'm there. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, and a bevy of smaller, up-and-coming podcast applications. I'm there. So you can listen to the audio at your convenience. And if you go there and if you do use podcasting, why don't you give a subscribe? Think about that. And if you're on YouTube right now, why don't you think about subscribing? And why don't you think about giving a thumbs up, sending the link out there? Let's get more people in here or something. So my week of programming this week rolls on, because tomorrow, if you're watching this on Wednesday, on Tuesday, tomorrow on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing my usual weekly 205 Live NXT UK recap over on FightfulSelect.com, the premium service of Fightful.com. Premier tip-top numero uno wrestling, not just wrestling, combat news, sports website, boxing, wrestling, MMA, it's all there. FightfulWrestling.com is the link you want to go if all you want is your wrestling news. Fightful Select is the premium service. You can subscribe to that and you get a whole bunch of extra, a whole bunch of supplementary content just for you as well. So yeah, you can head on over to Fightful Select. You get extra podcasts. You get the Weekender podcast with Steven Jensen, where he covers non-WWE programming. You have Sean, who does the Fightful Report every Wednesday, where he goes over news, talks about some backstage stuff. I do my weekly stuff there. Retro pay-per-view reviews that I do with Sean, dark match commentaries, news previews. It's all there. Go check it out. FightfulSelect.com, $5 a month. That's what it starts at. And it keeps going. It just keeps delivering. It's the service that just keeps on giving. Then on this Thursday, it's a pay-per-view week. So I'm going to do my predictions show on Thursday for Elimination Chamber. And I am going to be joined by none other than Kelsey of the Two-Faced Wrestling Podcast. We might also know her from Super Kicking It with Kelsey, which brought her to prominence amidst the online wrestling community, and I am thrilled. I am super happy that she accepted to join my wee corner of the internet, and we're going to be giving our prediction show. It should be a lot of fun. And hopefully you checked out Kristen Ashley's women's wrestling podcast called The Division, which is over on Fightful.com, not Fightful Select. Good old normal free for everyone, Fightful.com. Kristen started this podcast a couple of weeks ago, close to a month now, and I was invited as panelists along with Anthony Suda of Smack to Death podcast. I'm gonna stop doing that accent right now. She invited us, and it's up there. It was a lot of fun. Once again, very humbled to have been asked to join once again. So be sure to check that out. That's what I've been up to. That's what I'll be doing over the next few days, and then next week we'll be moving on to other stuff. That's it, because that's how it goes. All right. So, I hope everyone in the chat is doing okay. Joe Anthony's here. Jam is here. That's fantastic. Good to see you. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in the program, usually I come up and I do bold predictions, don't I? Well, I do have some news. Earlier today on Twitter, I officially announced that I was retiring bold predictions from the programming format of the Warren Hayes Show. Now, the reasons for these are multiple. Not really, though. There's the main reason driving me to take away, to remove, to retire. I think retire is the right word. Bold predictions is, it's time wise. I want to work harder at making the show a little shorter. You know, last night I did the Raw show and it went nearly to 1 hour and 30 minutes. And I know I talk a lot. I get long-winded on stuff and I get excited. So I stretch things out. I know how I am. So I'm going to try and give myself as many chances as I can, not to, come out at the other end and, have a 6-hour podcast. So I'm going to try and trim a little bit. But I mean, it's not without a certain amount of emotion that I'm retiring bold predictions. All right. Yeah, I won't be doing this for a while. All right, let's get to it then. Let's just get on with it then. How's everyone? Is everyone doing okay in the chat? Is everyone? Everyone's being misty-eyed. Yes, well, I'm sorry I'm eliciting these reactions from you all. You can tell right now in the chat, I wouldn't want to call anyone out by name, freely out here, and put this out like permanent into everyone's consciousness through my voice. But, you can see who is, human and in tune with their sentiments and who is just made of stone right now in the chat. Oh, see, this is another reason, folks, why you should be watching this live. You get to see what's happening. All right. Before we actually get in, I want to talk about Mustafa Ali real quick. It's a bummer. It is a king-sized bummer that he was unfortunately taken out of not only the gauntlet match but of Elimination Chamber, right? Because of injuries. He had been working with a tailbone injury. He was powering through that. Then he got the Shiner from Randy Orton last week, and that was a mistake on his part because he ate a Garvin stomp. That's what Orton had used on him. A Garvin stomp, and he sort of leaned into it, which was stupid. He shouldn't have done that. It's an accident, right? Something, not ballet. So then Ali apparently had a concussion this weekend. So they're pulling him off of competition. He's not clear to wrestle right now. That's all the reports that we're getting, especially from, you can check this stuff out on Fightful.com. That, Sean does a good job and it's legit. So it's a bummer. And it's especially a bummer when you consider that the position that Kofi Kingston was in tonight was probably what they wanted to do with Mustafa. They wanted to make him a big-ass star tonight. I'm still really happy and thrilled for what happened to Kofi Kingston because, man, if there is someone on that roster that deserves to be put in that kind of position and to actually have a run with a major championship in the company, the world, the U title or the WWE title, it's him. But when you think that this might have been Mustafa Ali, man, it breaks your heart. And you guys know at this point, I watch 205 Live religiously. I'm a big 205 Live guy. I've been a fan of Mustafa for a long time, and I felt like a proud dad when he was called up. So I would like him to do well. I want him to do more than well. I want him to be fantastic. I want him to succeed. I want him to be the man. So yeah, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted out of it. But you can't get everything you want in life. And speaking about not getting what we want, Becky Lynch was not on the show tonight. Fair, she's suspended. It's storyline. But Asuka again was completely absent. Last week they had a video package, I should say, for her. But tonight there was just like. That's the sound it makes. That's the sound, by the way, little insider news. When creative comes up to a wrestler and says, we don't have anything for you, they say, hey, Asuka, yes. And then Asuka understands that they don't have anything for her. So basically, they didn't have Asuka again on tonight. And I'm sort of wondering, and this is what I'm wondering, chat, and you can definitely chime in on this. The whole storyline with Becky and Charlotte and Ronda, it's fine. These are really three of your top female stars, right? Like, just based on star power. They're probably the top 3 of the company, and they're in the same program together right now. Now you have Asuka, who is SmackDown Live champion. Let's assume, okay? And I'm not saying let's do it. We're playing a hypothetical here, okay? Hypothetical. If the Raw Women's Championship match is a triple threat with Ronda, with Becky, with Charlotte, I posit unto you, what do we do with Asuka? Because she's a champion, SmackDown Live champion. What do we do with her? And what I mean specifically is, what kind of match do you give her? Now, a lot of people on Twitter, I actually threw this question out today, just to, get a bit of the pulse of the people. I'm the people's podcaster. Oh, Jesus Christ! Please don't let me say that stuff anymore. Please keep me honest, people. Don't let me say that shit ever again. A lot of people are talking about Sonya Deville. Sonya versus Asuka would probably be a fantastic match. If give them the time, it would be outstanding. But is this your WrestleMania SmackDown Live Women's marquee match? Just like people say, Carmella, Naomi. I mean, I'm not knocking the talent that these women have, but do they have the shine? Do they have the star power to go with Asuka, who still maintains an aura, or at least they've been rebuilding it at the very least, right? Is that a match that you book for a marquee event like WrestleMania? You know what I mean? And these are, they're all, especially with Sonya Deville, which is a potentially fantastic match. Had people talk about Alexa Bliss. Alexa is probably, again, if we're just talking on star power, is probably a logical fit, but she's on Raw. So they'd probably have to switch things around maybe, but she's on Raw right now. Although you can argue, Becky is on SmackDown technically, and she's moving around. She wants to, but then again, she won the Royal Rumble. She gets to challenge whoever she wants. So that's her Royal Rumble victory prerogative, right? And then some people are also positing, well, just call up Shayna. Just bring Shayna up right now. Which I'm just thinking about it, and I'm getting the sweaty heavies. Whew. But then at the same time, you sort of leave the NXT women's division without their currently their pillar. Like right now, there is no one booked as strong as Shayna Baszler. Do you call up Kairi Sane? Kairi Sane and Asuka in a match together would be hardcore bananas. But I still think Kairi has some time. They still want to keep Kairi in NXT for a while. I think they want her to work with Io Shirai, make sure she gets well acquainted into the WWE style, and I think it's smart and it's a good pairing. But Asuka versus Kairi would be fantastic as well. It's a mystery to me right now. I think the only solution, and again, I don't know what you guys in chat think right now, but I don't see the SmackDown Women's title being defended in any other type of circumstance than a multi-women match, and that would kind of suck. That would kind of bother me. But we'll see what happens. Then again, there's some news that came out today that apparently Candice LeRae is going to be working some SmackDown Live events. SmackDown Live events. It's a rumor. It's a report. I'm okay with that because they're not doing anything with her on NXT. nothing of note. Just get her out of there. Kristen in the chat says Nikki Cross. Yeah, of course, Nikki Cross. But again, she's on. Is she on Raw? Has she settled on Raw? I mean, it's not clear for me right now what they're doing with the NXT call-ups. Like, we haven't even seen Lacey Evans. We haven't seen Lacey Evans since Royal Rumble, and it's stupid because they made her look really, really, really good against Charlotte. She had a good showing, and they've completely kept her off the map. That's stupid. That's just dumbass booking right there, because they had positioned her to look strong. Now people won't necessarily remember that. Let's see. So yeah, again in chat, Blaine says Sonya Deville. Joe Anthony says Asuka Invitational, where literally everyone is ready for Asuka. And Jay King, how you doing, Jay? Says an open challenge. That's the only thing that would make sense. And yeah, and like Robert Larry says, we probably don't know until after Fastlane, that's for sure. Jason PS3 says Asuka versus Io Shirai. Yeah, that'd be great, but I think the NXT women's division needs Shirai now. They need some strong women because Baszler's time is coming to an end. They need Shayna Baszler wherever she ends up. They need her on main right now. CM Phil says a legend to come back and challenge her. Nah, please no. God, no. All right. I mean, it's not about. I'm sorry, Phil. I mean, it's a good idea. I just don't want it to happen because why would the? I mean, you're sort of telegraphing your ending, right? The legend isn't going to win. All right. Charlotte Flair begins our edition of SmackDown this evening. It starts actually with a video recap of what happened last night. I really like the transition of this where they replay Vince McMahon basically shitting on Becky Lynch and saying, I want to, the person I'm choosing is fantastic and stays in her lane, so on and so forth. And he does Charlotte Flair. And her music, like her Titantron appears on cue live. I thought, just a small detail, but it was perfect. Perfect. Oh, look at that. Anthony Suter from Smart to Death came in, and he'll have to watch the replay to make sure he knows what I said about him earlier on. So Charlotte is in the ring. She says, since day one, she said that WrestleMania is her destiny, and she points to the sign because it's sign pointing season. She wants to tell us that none of you want to admit this, but she is the backbone of the women's division. She's the franchise player. She's a winner. Mr. McMahon chose me, Charlotte speaking, not myself, or chose me because he made a smart business decision, a future Hall of Famer instead over someone who's just had a flash in the pan, who's had a few good months. She's going to dedicate her WrestleMania win to her best friend Becky Lynch, and that's pretty much her promo. She starts wadding the crowd at the end, which I thought was really funny. She, the audience is chanting, "You suck," I think. And she's going, "What?" I'm good with that. So that's the thing. That's fantastic. I thought, look, this is how you had to start SmackDown Live tonight. This is how you had to start the show. Smarmy, self-satisfied, grinning Charlotte Flair in the ring, being what she does best, a fucking fantastic heel. Heels, Flairs are heels. Remember that, folks. It's just, that's the basic formula for wrestling. If Charlotte has kids down the road or whatever, if there's another generation of Flairs that come up, just keep that in mind. Isn't Conrad Thompson married to a Flair, I think? One of the Flair daughters? Well, there you go. They all have to be heels. That's the formula. And there's one little thing I want to point out here before we actually go on, right? Let's compare what Charlotte Flair did tonight versus Nia Jax, and when she broke Becky Lynch's face. That was my Nia Jax impression. If you're a regular consumer of my wrestling related commentary content, you know that I have a few issues with Nia Jax. The main one not necessarily being her in-ring work, but her lack of depth of character. She legit injures Becky Lynch in a very crucial turning point in Becky Lynch's career, or in WWE right now, because Lynch was becoming the most over entity in the company. She goes and takes her out with a concussion because she can't pull her punches properly. Anyway. And WWE does what WWE does. It goes around, grabs a situation, and is like, well, use it. Use it, get heat. And what was I telling you folks all throughout this thing with Nia Jax being the face breaker? I kept telling you it's not going to work because she doesn't have the depth of character to pull it off. And how quickly did it peter out? 3 weeks in, we were sick of it. Why? Because she doesn't have the depth of character to pull it off. She doesn't have the personality, the charisma, the knowledge of who she is to make it happen. Look at what Charlotte Flair did tonight. She knew exactly what to do. Yeah, sure. It's not she didn't injure Becky Lynch, but she came out and she got all the heat in the world because she's taking Becky's place. And she did everything to a T, just off of something that happened last night. A segment that lasted her appearance almost just over, like, she was there, maybe 45 seconds on TV? Comes out tonight, and everyone hates her already. Everyone hated her after this. Why? Well, because she can pull it off. And she will be able to drag this on into WrestleMania in whichever shape or form this happens. So, there you go. That's the difference. That's the difference right there between having a talent and a world-class talent. So there we go. I'm going to move along here. I said at the start of the show I wanted to not take as much time as I usually do. And I'm already a half hour in and haven't even talked about a single match yet. Let me just check the chat here real quick. Robert says that is her character on TV. Personally, Charlotte is very pleasant, intelligent individual. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, of course. We've seen her in media interviews and stuff. She carries herself wonderfully. Of course. Of course. She seems like an absolutely sweet person outside, but we're watching we're watching television, we're watching fake wrestling. We're watching phony fights with phony characters. Of course, I don't expect her to be like that in real life. Anthony says, is Warren Dean Ambrose now with you people point? I've never seen SD live. Warren is a dynamic force of nature. I didn't do a you people promo. Go away, Anthony, if you're gonna spread that kind of lies, slander. And Phil says it was very clear last night and tonight Charlotte is there because they refused to make Rousey a heel, but that's okay because their mistake at SummerSlam. Yeah, that's for sure. they should have turned Ronda. They should have turned Ronda once she pushed Charlotte and Becky off the ladder. That should have been the catalyst right there, and it just would have worked. It just would have worked. And Red Leaf Retrocast says Nikki Cross should be on SmackDown. Yes, she should. We have a triple threat tag team match, women's tag team match. Naomi and Carmella, Fabulous Glow versus Mandy and Sonya, Fire and Desire versus the Iconics. We get some short pre-tape promos from all the teams, including the Raw teams as well. You know, the Iconics promo is really good because it's very, very earnest, and they really put across the fact that that both Billie Kay and Peyton are really, really close friends, for real. And I thought Liv Morgan did a fantastic job on her promo as well with Sarah Logan. Like, I think there is a legit bond there as well. Liv is fantastic, man. I'm telling you, Liv Morgan. I think she's the kind of wrestler, I really do, that if you give her an inch, she will take a mile. I'm really excited to see where she just how quickly she blows up, because I expect her to. So it's a triple threat tag team match, and the winner of the match, or at least the team who gets pinned, I should say, will start off the Elimination Chamber match for the women's tag team titles. This was a very okay match, but do want to point out how motivated Naomi looked tonight. Naomi was into it. It was, and I like it. I want to like Naomi. Sometimes I find her offense is soft. Tonight it was not. And they're still perpetuating the story between Mandy and Naomi, and Mandy is definitely, she's doing the cowardly heel thing. She doesn't want anything to do with Naomi. Naomi at some point runs to the outside. She gets cut off by Carmella, and Naomi does a slingshot crossbody from the top of the ring to the floor on Mandy, which was really cool. There we go. Finally, and then there's even Naomi gets her licks in on Mandy because there is a hot tag that happens. Naomi hits a springboard crossbody again. Carmella gets a super kick as well. And Naomi hits a very lovely split-legged moonsault for the pin, which was really cool. And that was part of that was the main story of the match here. Well, it was the action related story of the match, because the other story of the match was the fact that the Iconics didn't get tagged in, or didn't tag themselves in once. I think it was Peyton who started the match, and then immediately went and tagged Mandy Rose in, or Sonya. And Peyton and Billie they just hung out next to each other, next to a turnbuckle the entire match. And I like it because it's smart. And it's a triple threat match. There's no disqualifications technically in triple threats. They could have just buggered off, really. Just could have left. So it makes sense. It was a good storytelling. Like I said, the match was okay. And after the match, actually, Billie Kay and Peyton beat up on Naomi and Carmella, and they stand tall at the very end. So basically, the Elimination Chamber is going to start with Sasha and Bayley, because they lost their match last night against Mandy and Sonya, who got pinned tonight. So that's how everything's going to start off. So that's good. Let's see here. CM Phil seems to agree with me. Naomi looked great tonight when they let her wrestle. She usually does. I agree to a certain point, because I do feel that there's sometimes she just goes in and goes through the motions, and her offense just looks really, really soft. Like when Asuka, the SmackDown after Asuka won the SmackDown title, Naomi was her first defense, and man, Naomi was being very, very, she was having an off night. Let's put it that way. Kristen says, I used to think Liv Morgan couldn't wrestle, but then I actually watched her and learned that she was a person, and now I like her as a wrestler. And Blaine agrees. Liv continues to improve, and I'm slowly becoming a fan of hers. Robert says Naomi needs to be this kind of a wrestler on Sunday and further on. Yes, but we know she can be that way because we know she's good. When she was SmackDown Women's Champion, there was nothing that you could really complain about. She has a very athletic style. She does a lot of high flying moves, high risk. It's very athletic, gymnastic based, but she can go. It's just sometimes it looks like she doesn't feel like it. We get a excuse me, got something in my eye. There is an iPhone promo by Mustafa Ali, which, man, Proud Papa is a little brokenhearted. I mean, he's far from done, and sometimes, if I went to see Mustafa right now, Mustafa Ali, and I told him, and say, your theme song says, I'm a go hard, you could sort of, you don't have to go that hard, Mustafa, because I want you to have a nice long career. I want you to get over. All that I hope at this point is that they don't get scared that he got injured and then they start pulling him back. That'd be a shame. It would be a shame. I don't know what's going on with my eye, Joe. It's really strange. Maybe it's my long, thick lashes that are just coming off of my eyes and just falling off and inserting into my eyes. I'm not quite sure. We have this segment of McMiz TV where the Usos come to join them. Before that, we learned that Shane McMahon is going to be on NCIS. Look, I do not watch NCIS. I know of NCIS. I feel like NCIS has been on for like 25 years. Is that show still on? And LL Cool J is in that? I have no idea. I really have no clue. So basically Shane is going to be on the show. Good for him. But the Usos come to the ring, and not to the show, which is in a ring. And that's fine. And they say that, all they see is a wannabe tag team trying to be the Usos. Shane says we're not trying to be the Usos, but we are the best tag team in the world. And then they do. This was a fun segment. They do the Usos do the tag team challenge where it's like, ask me a question. I'll ask you a question about myself, and you give me the answer. What's my favorite color? Red. What's my favorite food? Pepperoni pizza. Which got a pop. What was my favorite sports team? Well, you're from San Francisco, so your favorite sports team is the San Francisco 49ers. And then Miz and Shane do the same thing, but Miz is sort of secretly giving Shane the answers, but like very blatantly. What's my favorite color? Blue. Who's my favorite minor league baseball team? The Toledo Mudheads. All right. And that got a big crowd pop from the Toledo crowd. What's my favorite food? Quiche. Quiche? I like that reaction. They're a good fit, Shane and Miz. They have really good chemistry together. They work really, really well off each other. And whose favorite food is quiche? Am I going to have to go off on another food rant tonight? Again? No. So basically, the Miz mentions Mandy Rose to Jimmy, and then of course things get heated. Shane starts posturing. Jay whacks the microphone out of Miz's hand. Great promo stuff from the Usos as usual. The match, not the match, but the segment ends with double super kicks from the Usos onto Miz and Shane, and that wraps it up. And Shane McMahon, being the consummate professional that he is, understanding the concepts of production budgets, did not drop the microphone despite being super kicked. He held on to that mic, man. He held on to it like he wanted to use it in ways where it's not supposed to be used. I don't know what that means. But the fact is he gets super kicked on the chin, and he held on to the mic. It didn't fly off. He wanted to make sure that there wasn't another expense that went to buying another microphone. I'm beginning to suspect that you break a microphone in WWE, it comes out of your pay. I'm starting to believe that. Let's see here. First of all, hello, Richard Storm was in the chat. Just saw you pop in. Kristen Ashley says, Warren totally watches NCIS. He's over 50. This is false. This is entirely false on both accounts. This is slanderous. Kristen Ashley of diva-dirt.com. Be prepared to hear from my lawyers very, very soon. Anthony says the segment sounds fun. Yeah, it was. It was a fun segment. Joe Anthony agrees with me. Miz and Shane are too good together. I'll be devastated when they break up. Yeah, me too. Me too. Phil says, I saw someone say the Usos should be suspended now, super kicking Shane and losing their title shot. Yeah. I understand the logic where, you touch a McMahon. You're not supposed to touch the McMahons, otherwise you get suspended. But in this case, Shane is an active competitor. He's a champion. He's in a tag team. I think there may be a bit of a gray zone here that we're getting into. All right. Well, at main event time, gauntlet match. I didn't know about you guys. I had a lot of fun watching SmackDown Live tonight. It's crazy. We had an hour plus long match tonight that felt absolutely fantastic. That was a thrill to watch. It was a joy to watch. And last night we had a 41-minute segment/match split up between 3 different parts into 3 acts, I guess, on Raw. That was a slog. But tonight it felt really, really good. Daniel Bryan comes out first. He's starting the gauntlet match off with Kofi Kingston, but he has the microphone. And he says, he doesn't want to be in the Elimination Chamber because he knows it's probably going to shorten his career. And he doesn't want to be a martyr, but his sacrifice here is necessary. And before he can really deep dive into that type of thinking, the New Day come out. And the New Day come out. We're not quite sure at this point who was going to be the man to replace Mustafa Ali, but it did turn out to be Kofi Kingston. So we get Kofi and Daniel Bryan to start up with, and Kofi is fired up. Bryan is trying to slow down the pace. He doesn't want to work Kofi's pace because he knows that Kingston will be on top. They have a test of strength, and Bryan shoulder blocks Kofi down and gets him into a headlock. He ties Kofi up, stretches him a little bit. Kofi flips out, though, of the move and into a cover, but only gets 2. We get some back and forth until Kofi gets some explosive offense in. He hits an arm drag, then floats over into an arm bar, starts using his knees. I thought this was going to be a big part of the story here, where he starts kneeing Daniel Bryan's elbow while it's in an arm lock, but and then he locks it behind. But no, it didn't go any further than that. Bryan starts to fight back on his own, whips Kofi into the ropes and 3 times delivers a big knee to the midsection. Bryan does the Mexican surfboard on Kofi, but Kofi then fights back, hits a flying back elbow, taking the champion down. Bryan gets dumped to the outside, and Kofi does that backdrop to the outside that he does, where he just throws himself, right? It's not like a dive. He just like lets himself fall. Kind of like the trust fall that he does off the turnbuckle, but he's jumping and it's like he turns his back and is okay, whatever happens. During commercial, Daniel Bryan tossed Kofi into the steel stairs because he's a heel, and that's how he got back in control. Kofi is caught in the ropes, and Bryan hits a running drop kick. Kofi fights back again, but with some strikes, but eats a knee and gets draped over the top rope. Daniel Bryan gives him a couple of kicks to the chest as he's draped, and he goes up to the top turnbuckle, flies off with a flying knee right to the back of Kofi's head. That was some good shit, pal. Covers Kofi, but only gets 2. Kofi avoids a top rope splash by Daniel Bryan, and he battles back with a drop kick. He drops Bryan down, double leg drop, somersault senton, covers the champ, but only gets 2. Kofi then goes for a springboard crossbody off the second turnbuckle, covers him, but only gets 2. Kofi runs in after Daniel Bryan, who drop toe holds him face first into the turnbuckle. Sets Kofi up into a tree of woe, and Kofi eats a sliding drop kick to the face. Gets covered, but only for 2 again. Goes up top. Bryan has Kofi in a German suplex position. They fall, then they sort of fall off. They just tumble off. And Kofi seems to reverse it and drops Daniel Bryan on his head. They trade some chops when we get back from commercial. Some headbutts by Bryan. The yes kicks follow. He covers Kofi for 2.9. Pinfall reversals follow, and Bryan gets the label lock on Kofi Kingston, who manages to reach the ropes, of course. Kofi ends up onto the floor. Bryan does a flying knee off the apron onto Kofi. He goes up top again. But and as Bryan flies off, Kofi Kingston delivers a drop kick as Bryan flies off the ropes, the turnbuckle, I should say. Rowan then trips Kofi up without the referee seeing it. And so the New Day move right in. Big E goes after Rowan, so does Woods, and the official is having none of this shit, and he tosses the New Day, which distracts Kofi long enough for Daniel Bryan to cover him, to roll him up, but only gets 2. We get some more kicks to the chest in the corner. Kofi fights back, but gets launched into the timekeeper's area by Eric Rowan. I mean launched, man. He flew. The referee didn't exactly see that, but he realizes that there's some shenanigans going on. So he tosses Eric Rowan as well. And Kofi gets back into the ring, hits the Trouble in Paradise, and pins Daniel Bryan. Guys, I was not expecting that. But, ooh, that was nice. That was so nice. I really liked that. I thought this was fantastic. Jeff Hardy comes in next. This was fairly short, though. This was fairly short. some of the big spots here is where Hardy runs and flies off the steel stairs on the outside, hitting a flying leg on Kofi, gets him back into the ring. The Swanton misses as Kofi rolls out of the way. Jeff hits his typical offense, the inverted atomic drop, double leg drop, basement drop kick, but Kofi turns the basement drop kick into a pinning position on Hardy, but he kicks out at 2. This all comes to an end when Kofi hits the SOS and pins Jeff Hardy. And at this point, I'm like, this is interesting. Obviously, they're going to give Kofi the Iron Man, they're going to give him the Iron Man nod, and it's going to come to an end now because, oh shit, here comes Samoa Joe, right? Boy, oh boy, was I wrong. When we come back from commercial, they're trading some strikes. Kofi with headbutts, kicks, elbows, and has Joe reeling. But Joe hits, oh man, we see a lot of enziguris these days, but holy shit, when it's Samoa Joe in all his massive mass, who lifts his legs up into the air and nails it with an enziguri, that looks phenomenal. He covers Kofi, but only gets 2. Puts him in an abdominal stretch. Kofi tries to get out of it, but it's a tremendous clothesline. He covers Kofi for 2.9. He starts working Kofi, grinding him down. Kofi battles back, forces Joe to the outside, and hits a springboard body drop onto Joe to the outside again. Kofi Kingston, man, he is nuts. Back in the ring, he eats another huge lariat, gets covered for 2. And Kofi, Jesus Christ, he is still fighting back. Joe hits an inverted atomic drop, gets Kofi into a bow and arrow, hits the running senton, covers, but Kofi kicks out again. And I'm like, okay, honestly, I'm here, I'm sitting down, and I'm like, well, they're giving Kofi's going to pull out everything that he can, every last drop of energy he can to overcome Samoa Joe here, because he eventually gets Kofi in the Coquina clutch, but Kofi flips off the turnbuckles. He sort of lifts himself off on the turnbuckles, flips himself back, falls back, gets Joe on his back into a jackknife pin combination, and gets the 3 count on Samoan Joseph. Look, this was fantastic, and because I wasn't expecting it. This was so good. Now, of course, Joe is pissed out of his Samoan mind, and he just lays into Kofi, hits the biggest Uranagi on Kofi, rolls him to the outside. Coquina clutches him on the ground. Referees are trying to pull him apart. They can't. So AJ Styles' music hits, and he runs down to the ring, and he decides then that he's going to boot Samoa Joe a couple of times to the head, who releases the hold and runs off. Now, as we're going to commercial, AJ is checking on Kofi because, AJ Styles is an honorable competitor. So when we come back, Kofi is sort of in the corner, propping himself up. He's exhausted. He's spent. I think at this point, he has been, I think at that point he was like 45 minutes in. Or something like that. He had passed the 40-minute mark for sure, and he's exhausted. He just got beat up by Samoa Joe, and AJ comes over to him and he's patting him on the shoulders like, dude, we don't have to do this. You can just throw it away. We don't have to do this. But Kofi gets mad and he pushes him, and he gets fired up. And he's like, no way, dude, we're doing this. Come on, man, give me your best shot. I'm like, and I think this is the part where I become a Kofi Kingston mark, because that was fantastic. This is what we needed at this point. He needed to fire himself back up. It added to the story at this point where, Kofi is exhausted. He can't take it anymore. AJ's trying to be a good guy. But no, he got that adrenaline rush, that competitive spirit washing over him. It's like, nope, I'm ready. Let's do this. AJ's sort of like, well, if that's what you want, we'll do it. They just go right at it again. Kofi at some point eats a hell of a backbreaker by Styles. AJ grabs one of his kicks and leg sweeps him down. He locks in the leg as well, trying to get him to submit, but Kofi reaches the ropes. He gets back up, starts kicking Styles again, but AJ lays him out. Snap suplex, covers Kofi, who kicks out again. Kofi rolls AJ up a few times, doesn't work. The crucifix pin almost gets Styles, though. Breaks Kofi's back again with another backbreaker. Kofi is on the apron, this time with Styles, with some kicks. Get some kicks on Styles. He runs the apron. Styles moves out of the way, and he hits the ring post full force with his knees. Blam. Blam. He falls off to the outside. The ref starts the 10 count. And goddamn, Kofi Kingston beats the 10 count. Everyone's a believer at this point. The crowd is loving this. Styles with a forearm to the corners. He sets Kofi up on the top turnbuckle. He goes for a Hurricane Rana, but Kingston just blocks it. And Styles just collapses to the mat. He hits a flying body press on Styles, covers him for 2.9. I swear, I believed it at this point. I believed it that Kingston was going to go forward. But finally, AJ Styles gets the calf crusher on him, and he has no choice but to tap. Kofi does. That was something. And the New Day come back down. The New Day come down to celebrate, not to celebrate, but to carry Kofi back. To huge reaction from the crowd. Weren't they chanting, "Thank you, Kofi," something like that? That was a hell of a performance. Over an hour. Over 1 hour in the ring. It was crazy. This definitely was Kofi Kingston's night. And, the commentary put it over. He's a super decorated WWE superstar. He's been, 11 years in the company now? Hasn't had a world title. I don't think he'll be winning Elimination Chamber, but this is how you book properly. This is really how you book a star to become a bigger star and be positioned as a credible threat to your champion or whoever. Because at this point, aside from just being logical about your booking, there is no reason to doubt that Kofi Kingston could beat Daniel Bryan at Elimination Chamber. And a pure booking aspect, this made sense, and it will continue to make sense. And this is a shine that Kingston will be able to carry for a while. And I've been saying this for a while as well. The New Day, I am of the opinion that you should never split up the New Day. There's too much magic between those three guys. Too much. They don't have to be considered a tag team anymore. They could be just a stable. Kofi could be the breakaway single star. They could all work singles matches. They can all work singles matches. But maybe again, this could be a catalyst for them to break away from just being pigeonholed as a tag team? Whew. So basically, this match comes to a crushing halt. And I saw this coming at some point, especially when you saw the time going on. When you see the time stretching, like, oh man, this match is going to end with an RKO out of nowhere, right? Well, there you go. Randy Orton's music hit. He being AJ Styles, sort of, all right, I'm pumped, I'm ready. But at this point, everyone should know to look behind them when Randy Orton is making an entrance. You can't just look at the ramp. You can't. Like 25% of the time he's going to come, 35% of the time he's going to come up behind you. He's going to come in from the audience. RKO, the most protected move in sports entertainment, ends the match. Randy Orton didn't even break a goddamn sweat. And it's fine. It's okay. It's good booking. You know why this ending works? It works because of Kofi Kingston's Iron Man performance. It's okay. It had to wrap up at some point. Wraps up like this is fine. I'm okay. I found it interesting as well. This is what I found what was really interesting is that both Randy Orton has negotiated a lighter schedule for himself. And AJ Styles, if you believe the reports that are coming out, AJ Styles is in contract renegotiations and wants to get an Orton schedule. So the two last guys, the guys who want the similar work schedules. This was fantastic. This was such a good, fun episode of SmackDown Live. Now, you can go off and be sad or prissy about some things about what happened this evening, the Mustafa Ali situation, Kofi being put in this position, but it's not that it was flawless, but it was so well done and it was entertaining. It worked, and everything they did tonight worked. We take so much pleasure in shitting on WWE when they book things poorly and they make things not work. Where you're like, why aren't they doing this? Tonight, the gauntlet match was very well booked. And we have to call a spade, especially if you're going to be the type of fan, and I'm including myself in this, where you call WWE out on their poor booking decisions. Not tonight. This was extraordinarily well done in-ring storytelling. And it's these moments that make it all the more frustrating when WWE is unable to string good ideas together, because when they're able to do this and focus on in-ring action and let the wrestlers tell the goddamn stories, when they show us, they being WWE, when they show us that they're able to pull it off, it's these events, these matches that make us hold them to a higher standard than what they usually give us. It's these matches that we're like, look, you can achieve this. We know you can do it. You've done it before. You can do it. Why don't you do it more regularly? Why isn't it always like this? But from top to bottom, this show was fantastic. There's still some questions, still some things that, Becky wasn't there. What are they going to do with Asuka? So on and so forth. That's fine. We're on the road to WrestleMania. We're going to see what happens. You know, Elimination Chamber is this weekend. We're going to get a lot. It's going to clarify the picture for a lot of wrestlers, a lot of situations, both on the men and the women's side. So, but we just have to be a little more patient, a few more days, and we'll get a nice, clearer picture. And in a few more days, in 2 days actually, don't forget, Elimination Chamber prediction show right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, and it will end up on the podcast platforms as well. And I will be joined by Kelsey. We're going to be doing our predictions together. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. So make sure to jump in. And someone told me that it's Valentine's Day or something like that on Thursday. Just cuddle up with your Valentine and watch us talk about wrestling. That's romantic, isn't it? Should be. I don't know about that kind of stuff. All right. Well, you know, this is something that I do on my NXT. I'm just going to wrap this up really. I'm sorry. This is something that I do a lot on my 205 Live NXT UK recap shows where I say, you know, you have to seek something out. You should go out of your way to watch this. If you didn't watch SmackDown Live, because I do know a lot of people watch the, you know, recaps and reviews and then decide whether they should watch. You need to go out of your way, not just to watch the gauntlet match, watch the whole show. It was a fun show. This was a fun edition of SmackDown, and you should go out of your way to watch it. And Kofi Kingston he's a legend. His legend is confirmed. I want to thank everyone for joining in this evening. Am I spitting? I spit a lot. Maybe anyway. I want to thank everyone for joining us in the chat this evening. I want to thank everyone watching and listening either on podcasting devices or right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. Make sure you follow me on Twitter as well. Twitter.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. Instagram. I've neglected my Instagram. I'll be frank. Mostly I'll be Warren, but I'll be honest. I've neglected a bit my Instagram. I'll get back on it. But, you know, consider subscriptions, consider following, do all that good stuff. I want to thank you again, everyone. And I'll see you next time.